Okay, here we go. Right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. I am doing a brief review about a video that I saw from a chap called Rebuke. Yeah, Rebuke and Reprove. I said to him that I would do a video the previous weekend, but I couldn't because Darth Dawkins was more hilarious. That shithead, right? So anyway, so I'm reviewing a challenge that Rebuke and Reprove did to Pine Creek, and I think it's on the 2nd of November 2021 about slavery. So this guy Rebuke called Pine Creek on his show, and both of them talked about slavery. In my opinion, my personal opinion, I've saw it 3 times. Rebuke and Reprove was talking rubbish, in my opinion. Pine Creek got a bit lost, got a bit muddled, right? But he was getting there. It was getting there. And anyway, let's go to the video because it is bollocks. It is bollocks. So this is the after that, right? So Rebuke and Reprove comments on what he said about the challenge. Where are we? Oh, yeah, right.
Marius in Alabama who's calling in to tell me that they disagree with my interpretation of Exodus 21. So sorry, Paul, we're going to slavery right away.
Sounds great.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What about my interpretation do you disagree with? Because I pretty much just read it verbatim.
Well, Matt, I've heard you argue your point several times, and in my opinion, every time you've been wrong, because you have stated that the Bible endorses slavery, and God...
It does endorse slavery. That's a fact.
God endorses slavery,
yeah.
And you are absolutely correct. You have to take into consideration that you are reading that verse out of context.
No, sir.
And you have a misunderstanding.
No, sir.
Of what the text is implying.
No, sir, I do not. So what is my misunderstanding of Exodus 21?
You're saying that Exodus 21 is saying that, God tells the Israelites that they are allowed to have slaves.
Well, I don't think there is a God, so I don't think there's a God talking. But what I've said is the Bible in Exodus 21 explicitly permits slavery.
And I think that, okay, so when you say slavery, define slavery.
Owning another human being as property.
No, it is not. It is not wrong.
Jesus is Lord and he's coming back. I'm back.
He's coming back when?
No, Matt Dillahunty. That is not a definition of slavery or slave. Perhaps it's more of a colloquial definition, but it's certainly not a legal definition, meaning that you could not take someone to court and say, Judge or Your Honor, this person owned me as property. Therefore, arrest him. Therefore.
Right. Now, here he fucked up. Okay? Here he fucked up. Because if it is illegal, right, the person who sold or who bought the guy who's actually complaining against the judge, that would be fucking stupid because you need a legal representation. Yeah, he's not going to go into a judge. Excuse me, judge. I think I've been owned by this guy. That's fucking stupid analogy. Okay, but anyway, that's the way he's pointing it. Okay, so it's a shit analogy, right? But the point that I'm getting at is that either it is illegal in the first place to own somebody as property, even in any part of the fucking world, in a civilized world, right, where there's a democracy and everything. No, especially in the developed countries, right? I'm not talking about underground slavery or anything like that bullshit. Okay, so in most majority, it's been abolished. So the problem that this guy has is he's equating the law, the actual law either permits it or doesn't permit it, right? And in Exodus 21, it is actually God that permits it. He's the in the Bible sense, he's the ultimate authority, and there's no judge below him. The geezer, the main man, is saying, yeah, you can own somebody as property, right? You can even inherit the person as property. Okay, so you're talking out of your rear, out of the bat.
Prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law.
No, that's rubbish.
So it's not a legal definition, but colloquially or commonly, we would use the word without defining it legally. We would say this person is a slave, understanding both receptor, the one that's receiving the language, and the one that's giving it.
He's basically talking to another person. That's bullshit what he's saying, but yeah, okay.
Both understanding that this person is there against their will.
That's the whole concept of slavery, okay? You have to get that.
So there's no need to state it in the definition of the word slave. So most definitions of slave that you find are not legal definitions. They're more definition to defining the word.
Right, but hold on. So if it says slave, that means it by default held against their will. Okay? Because it would be somebody really fucking stupid, right, to be held as slave willingly. Okay, there's almost in the Bible there's rare circumstances, but there's only about debt, right? There's not even indenture on the search result in Bible Hut. There's none. Okay.
With it already being understood that this person has no free will, that they have no volition in the matter. So you're owning another person as property against their will.
No shit.
But the against their will part is often left out of the definition because that is understood. No one would want to be owned as property on their own free will. So it's
right. Okay. Now I'm going to put something here because this is what this guy is all about. Okay. Where is it? Here. Oh. Cognitive dissonance, okay, and the definition. The mental discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. Okay, and I'm going to leave this throughout because this is what this chap falls into.
It's understood without saying that they are basically a slave and they're against their will. But legally, if you wanted to prove in the court of law that this person is guilty of enslaving or slavery or slave trafficking, you have to prove that the individuals were there against their will.
No. You're absolutely freaking wrong, right? You're absolutely wrong. No way. Okay, trafficking itself is an exchange of money against an individual. Right? Obviously, it's going to be against their will. That's by default. I just told you again. It is by default. Okay? Buying and selling is from different parties. It's not the slave that is selling himself or herself. Right? It's two people. One has got the individual that is the selling part, and the other one is the buying part that says, okay, I want that human being as my slave. How much you want for it? X amount. Bam, bam, bam. There's a mutual transition, and there's an agreement that he would become my slave. Okay? The will is irrelevant. Okay? You know why? Because the person became property. Okay? A subject without value. Right? Unless I make a value, I make it, sell it to somebody else or whatever, okay? Or for some sort of service that they provide to me free of charge because I pay for that person, right? That is slavery in an essence. Forget about will. The will is irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant.
Or that there's somehow being there's some compulsion for them to be there. We kidnapped your son. If you don't.
No. That is coercion. You got it wrong. Or blackmail, whatever.
Don't come over to this lot and work for 6 months. You're not going to see your son again.
That's bullshit. That's even more stupid than what you said before, right? So, oh yeah, so I'm going to get your son to work for me for 6 months and then I'm going to give you a bag. Really? Really? You're going to make that bullshit claim as an excuse for owning somebody? We're talking about a transaction. A slave is somebody that you buy.
Okay, so you have to be able to prove that. You can't just say owning another person is slavery. That's
Ownership means a business transaction. You fail miserably to grasp that notion. Okay, owning is purchasing. There's a purchasing power between two people.
It's not the legal definition of slavery, meaning you could not persecute someone under the law if they actually wanted to be in that position in the first place.
You cannot be in a position because it is illegal to own a human being. Put that in your thick brain. Okay, it is illegal, right? That would not come into nobody can moan and say, oh, excuse me, this guy owed me for X amount of time. I need to make a complaint. Really?
Okay, what is a slave? This is Black Law's dictionary. Look up the legal definition. We don't care what your opinion of the Bible is. We want to know if it would be illegal.
What do you mean I don't care about the opinion of the Bible? What you just did here is shifting the burden or distracting the person to our society, how we rule, or how the leaders impose rules onto society. Okay? The problem that you got with your slavery is a God command. Okay, don't give me any bullshit about any law dictionary or anything like that. That's not here nor there. Okay?
Legal to do what they were doing in the Old Testament today. That's what we'd like to know. Would that be considered illegal? Would that person be prosecuted under our law?
You under our law, you have to put the same law that happened there and here to compare it. Okay, so to make an equivalence, it would be if slavery would be allowed at this time, and then it would be rules and regulations governing said enslavement practice, right? How it became about. But we haven't got anywhere. Why? Because it's not permitted, period.
In order for you to judge the Bible to be immoral, you have to demonstrate that the Bible, according to your law, American jurisprudence, would be, or someone practicing this would be violating the law, your law. If you're going to, in the 21st century, accuse the ancient Near East and the Israelites of slavery, all right, and that's part of my slavery challenge that still hasn't been met. Pine Creek has tried and failed. He's the only one that's tried and failed. Well, many have, but he's the only one that I actually have a video on it. You can go check that out.
Surprise, surprise.
Pine Creek Answers My Slavery Challenge. where he admits, look, I can't demonstrate in the Bible that that slavery exists other than in the case of war and prisoners.
Now, this is none of that bullshit that this guy is coming up with. Okay? In the Bible, it does not, and I repeat, it does not mention anything about war. Okay? The only time we mention war about this is to kill everybody and get the virgins for yourselves. Okay? Not about technically about slavery. Okay? Because I'm going to show you something, okay, that is not war related. Let me show you this. Where is it? This one? Yep. Okay, here it is. Okay, when it's for workers, if any of your fellow, I'm looking at this one here, right? So if any of your fellow Israelites become poor and sell themselves to you, basically it's a transaction. At that time it was legal, right? At that time was legal. This time and age, I cannot sell myself. I can render services to pay for a debt, but there is no slave contract. I can say I owe you X amount of money and I'm willing to work, not as a slave, but willing to work to pay out the debt that I owe you in somehow, because I cannot raise enough money. Okay, that is allowed, right? And then you will still even make a contract, right, to stipulate the beginning and the end of the service rendered. But we're not talking about slavery at all, because that would be void. The contract, okay, would not be permitted. Right, so here in Leviticus 25, it is permitted to serve as a servant, right, or sell yourself, right, to work, but not as slave. Do not make them work as slave. They are to be treated as hired workers, right? So now here they mention the word slave. Right? They said, no, don't treat them as a slave if they owe you something. Right? Because the Israelites are my servants. This is talking, God is talking to them, whom I brought out from Egypt. They must not be sold as slave. Okay? But here is the kicker. Right? You male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. It doesn't say in times of war, right? Because somebody can capture, right? Forget about war. So I could be there, right? I could capture male or female person, bring it to the Israelite, and say, look, I got 2 pieces of meat, because it's trash at the end of the day, right? Right? So he said, I'm gonna sell it to you for X amount of money. Do you agree? Yeah, okay. There you are, the shackle. Bang. Right? And I receive a monetary transaction. Happy days. Zero. There's no enemy combatant. There's no war. There's no POW bullshit that you come up with or anything like that. Okay? So, your male and female slaves to come from the nations around you. From them, you may buy slaves. Right? You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you, members of the clans born in your country. Even locally, you can buy slaves. Right? They will be. This is a coup de grace for this guy. They will become your property. That's a magic word here. Property. You're not even considered a human being, right? You are just a piece of something that worth X, right? For your pleasure. You can give them to your children as inheritance. You can imagine you die tomorrow, that slave becomes yours as inheritance. And you can make them slaves for life. So after so basically whoever inherits it can have it for life. But you must not rule over your fellow Israelite ruthlessly. Oh well. you got to laugh at this, yeah. And another one of the pages. This is the Hebrew side of it, right? You say you can own your own Hebrew people, right? But only for 6 years, right? This is only for the Hebrew people, from one Hebrew to another. They can own them as slave, but only up to the age of up to the Jubilee, right? Then they have to release them. But there's a trick in here, right? And the trick is if you bring the slave and give him a wife, i.e., if the slave accepts this female as a wife, slave wife, right, and bear children, and this guy wants to go in after the year 6, right, he cannot take her because it is the master's property, right? So somebody that has been with this lady and the kids, then he's not going to go, okay, thank you very much, see you later, I'm free. No, he's going to be attached. So the trick here to have another Israelite, right, is to say, okay, you can stay with him, but you have to be my slave for life, right? This is the first part here, right? But it says, but if the servant declares, which is a slave at the end of the day, I love my master, my wife, and my children, and do not want to go free, then his master must take him to the judges, which is the priest, right? And she shall take him to the door or doorpost and pierce his ear with an awl, sharp object, right? Then he will be his servant for life, right? That's slavery, right? Now this is another one, right, which is a non-combatant, no war. If a man sell his daughter as a servant, right, and this is not to make just food. She would not go free as the servants do, right? If she does not please the master, who has selected her for himself, basically a concubine, right? So basically, if he doesn't like what she does, or what she does not want, or what she is not willing to do, basically, you can imagine the rest, right? So he must let her be redeemed. Basically, the family pay her back, right? The slave master has got no right to sell her to the foreigners because he has broken the faith with her. Basically, almost their promise of marriage or being a concubine, right? But this is the kicker. So if he wants to keep her, right, and not sell her, he can give her to the son, right? So he still got the slave on as property. If he selects her for his son, basically, there you are, my son, there's this bitch for you. He must grant her the right of a daughter. Right? Yeah. So give her a son and she becomes a daughter. Funny. Right? Now, and this is again the slave master. If he marries another woman, that's the slave master. If he marries another one, he must not deprive the first one, which now it denotates a marriage of sorts, a sex exchange. Okay. He must not deprive the first one, which will be the concubine, of her food, clothing, and marital rights, basically sex. Right? Now, if the guy, after buying her, he does not provide her with these three things, food, clothing, and sex, right? She's to go free without any payment or money. What are the chances of that? Right? So this guy he has already paid for a slave, right? He's got a son. From where? If he's got a new wife. This is another one. Anyone who beats the male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result. Okay. But if they're not punished, if the slave recover after a day or two. Okay, now after a day or two, since the slave is their property, crystal clear, the slave is property. Okay, you cannot get it any clearer than that. Here, an owner twice. What's this all about? So if the owner of the slave, right, male or female slave, destroys, hit in the eye and destroys it, makes him blind in one eye, or knocks the tooth out, basically punching or whatever, right? So it's either blind or hit the face, right? The male or female must let the slave go free to compensate for the tooth or for the eye. So you can beat them to death after a couple of days, but if you knock a teeth out or you make him blind in one eye, they can go straight out. That's handy. And that's it. So let's see what this guy is talking about, yeah? Sugar. Where are we? Window capture. Let's carry on.
Of course. What is a slave according to Black's law?
Who cares?
The person who is wholly subject to the will of another. Most definitions of slavery, including the one that Matt Dillahunty gave you, leave that part out, but you need that part for legal purposes. You cannot arrest anyone or consider anyone to be immoral, and immoral to an atheist is breaking the law of their land, right? Breaking the law of their land, right? So you need that piece. You cannot just go through the Bible.
No. Willingness has got nothing to do, right? It's nothing. Willingness is not here nor there. Okay, is the owning the problem? That's what the illegal part of it is. Okay, even if you want to be my slave, right? Just for argument's sake, if you want to be my slave, and I pay a third person, not you, I pay somebody else, right? Somebody's pimping you, right? And I buy you as my property, okay? That would not hold. Not because you want or you don't want. That's irrelevant. That's secondary. Yeah, the ownership is primary. Okay? So you cannot go to the court and says, oh, I'm not, it is illegal because you are unwilling to be the slave. No, the ownership is the issue.
Look at me. I'm going to the Bible looking for slavery. Oh, there's slavery. And suggest that event is there against his or her will.
Yes, it is.
In order to arrest the slave master, regardless of what you call them, what label you place on them, you have to demonstrate that the person that they have in their home or on their land is there against their will.
I hope you understand the stupidity what you're saying. Okay? Because you just agreed beforehand that slavery is justified as owning against their own will. Okay? You cannot be owned as you like it. You can't. Okay? You can't.
That simple. That's just that simple.
It is that simple.
One who has no freedom of action, but whose person and services are wholly under the control of another.
Yeah, I agree. That is slavery. Okay? That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about buying. Okay? And your Bible endorses that. It sanctions that. Funny enough, it's got laws around it to protect the master and the slave only if it's beaten and die immediately, or the eye is gouged, or the tooth Happy days. That's it.
So it's their person and their services. In the Old Testament, you would contract your services to another.
No, 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 no. You do not contract your services. Okay? That's your problem. That's where you fucked up. Okay? A slave is bought from somebody else. Okay? When you buy well, in this case, when they bought something, when they bought slaves, it wasn't from a slave. It was from somebody that got 10 or 15 people that he or she got from somewhere. Well, mainly he, right? He probably got it from warfare, right? But not even the soldier come to the fucking town and says, "Look, I got a couple of slaves." It didn't work that way. Okay, there were probably somebody doing some sort of trading, right? And he bought them from somewhere else. Right, so he's got about 10 or 15 of them, put them in a fucking town, and said, look, this is my material. Yeah, I got 10 or 15 people to sell. Who wants them? Right, and somebody buys them. So there's a physical transaction between two people about this object, in this case, a human being, right? Because it's a property at the end of the day, right? And this is where you fail miserably. You think the transaction is between the slave and the slave master. Wrong. Hugely wrong.
You would willingly say, I can work, my carpentry is my skill, masonry, whatever the case may be.
No. This is not a skill set. Okay? Forget about the skill. Now you're talking about bollocks, right? It's not about what the person can do. It's about owning them, right, for life, regardless of the skill set. A woman is mainly for sex purposes and making food and clothing and taking care of house issues, right? Cleaning, taking care of kids or whatever, right? But predominantly for sex, right? It's basically almost like a sex slave for free, right? Concubine, right? The male, right? Because generally they're stronger, they're using the field, farms or taking care of animals, whatever. Right, mining, right, but it's for free, right? And if you die, fuck it, you die. I just buy another one. That's your problem.
And I will work to pay off the debt. I will work.
No. Indentured servitude is not the case here. Now you are misleading the concept of slavery, right? There is not even indentured servitude in the fucking Bible. So please, you are borderline from cognitive dishonesty, from intellectual dishonesty. And I'm taking the intellectual part of it, but out of it out. Ugh.
To actually, in one case, remember Joseph worked to have the daughter's hand in marriage, Laban's daughter. He wanted.
No. That's bullshit. Again, you're talking about offering his services. Right? But you're not saying that a person is a slave. Even if that's the case, right? Even if it's the case, you enter in the contract in the Judeo system, Hebrews, right? At that time, it was permitted. Here is not permitted, right? Because we are not that fucking barbaric. That's the whole fucking point. Okay? And I think you missed it. You missed the train.
To marry his daughter. So he said, I'll work for you for 7 years, right? You must prove that the person and the services are...
Actually, no. He could not do that. For 7 years, he can't. It had to be 6 maximum to the Israelites.
Under the control of another, and that person is wholly subject to the will, and they have no freedom of action. They have no freedom of action.
No. You are equating working for a working to obtain money and slavery. Right? Slavery, you don't get paid. Okay? You're treated like shit. And if you survive, fine. If you're not, I'll buy another one. Big difference, huge difference. And you're actually totally wrong.
So we dealt with that. Here's another definition. We dealt with that canard, that tired old canard Matt Dillahunty loves to use on unsuspected Christians nationwide. We dealt with that in another video where he asked the question, when is it okay to be a slave? Or when is it okay to ever own another person? To ever own another person. That was Webster's definition of slavery, which is more of a legal definition. Okay. If you're judging someone, you must be able to provide a legal definition.
Yeah, legal. Owning. Owning is illegal. Owning another person for any reason whatsoever, it is illegal. It was illegal. It was legal at that time. Okay, that's the immoral consequence of those days. Owning somebody as property.
You must be able to provide a legal definition. Matt Dillahunty is trying to judge the Bible. So he must define slavery and based on a legal definition of slavery.
No. He's doing an internal critique of your bullshit religion. Okay, you cannot compare both of them. Actually, you could compare both of them because we don't have a slave permitted nation, right? Therefore, there's no slavery, right? In legal terms, you don't have slavery here, either in USA or here in the UK. It's not permitted. Okay, so by default you lose, right? We got far better standards, moral standards, than your silly fucking God. Okay, he was a bully, or whoever invented the religion was a bully. Okay, a misogynistic person, right? Dominated obviously by men, right? Women were a commodity. That's disgusting. Okay, and for you to think, and I think you're a black person, right? And I told you before, you should be ashamed to even spewing out words such as, oh, it depends on how you define slavery and that kind of bullshit, right? If I were black, right, obviously I'm not fucking black, but if I'm black, I would be ashamed of you, right? The way you protect slavery in the Bible. It's actually fucking disgusting, in my opinion, right? The level of gullibility, right? And your standards are touching the floor. Okay? For you to even fucking think about it. You got... we have treated black people bad. Okay? We have to fucking own it. Right? But you are fucking defending it. You're defending your Bible. That what they did at that time was fucking okay. And it's not. Come on. Wake the fuck up. Yeah? Be half honest. Yeah, they're not honest. Dishonest. Okay? Slavery in the Bible is fucked up. It sanctioned it, for fuck's sake. It made rules governing slavery. And you are okay. Are you giving this bullshit about, oh, see if it's okay here and own it. It is not okay here. Right? And I'm sorry to say, but you're talking out of your fucking ass. Especially being black. And I'm pissed that you're not pissed. Funny enough. right? I've got fucking excellent black friends. I've been in the military, British military, with black friends. I will give my fucking life for them, right? And you treat your fellow people like if there's nothing. That's disrespectful, man. Right? You don't value your heritage. You should be fucking annoyed of what some people did to your ancestors. Right? We fucking went to fucking Africa to get people to fucking go to the United States. Do you think that's cool? Right? We got them for fucking free. We put them in a fucking boat. Right? And we gave it to somebody. There was no fucking war. And you got the audacity to fucking put stupid things like this when it's okay to own other person. Really? Cognitive dissonance. That's your fucking problem, my son. Right? I respect you sincerely as a human being. But as a black person, you're full of shit. Peace.